So just like when we did the lining paper, I'm using a roller to apply the paste to the back of the paper. It is my preferred option. Try the brush as well. The brush works just as well. This is really personal choice. So I've got the first part of the paper pasted, and as you can see, we've got an overhang off the end of the table. We're going for a vertical drop this time, so we're not going to use the concertina fold as we've previously seen, or the end to centre. This is a 3/4 fold. So I'm taking the longer part of the paper and folding it past the centre down towards the end of the paper, and then just making sure, Stacey, technical hitch, that we don't have creases like that, because that would stop the paper from soaking evenly. So it needs to be laid flat, and as always, with the edges nice and tight to stop the paper, or the paste rather, from drying out instead of soaking in. Then we've just got this smaller part at the end, so I'll just finish this off with the roller. You see, nice and quick, and again, the paper on the edge of the table, so it supports the paper, but also prevents the paste ending up on the table and then getting onto the front or the face of the paper. So that's the last of the paste on. Fold that in, and as you can see, we've now got a much larger part, so hence 3/4 fold. I'll leave that to soak for approximately 6 minutes. Again, always read the label. You really do need to get that soaking time right for a better hang. Now, marking out for a vertical drop, remarkably similar for our horizontal, just twist it through 90 degrees. It really is that simple. So as with the cross lining, we came down from the top of the ceiling and put a mark and then struck across with a horizontal line. This time we need a vertical line. We refer to it as a plumb line, plumb just meaning straight down. And now I've put this one in earlier because I was having a think, because it's a chimney breast wall. A chimney breast is generally the feature in any room. So that is where we would normally start, especially with a pattern paper. Quite often we would come straight down the centre and have 2 rolls either side. This is slightly too large, so it's not working that way. We'd end up with 2 in the middle with a tiny little gap either side. That won't work. The paper will lift. So what I've done this time is I've worked out where the centre of the paper would be, dead centre of the wall, and so I've marked the plumb line to the left-hand side of the paper. This way we'll have a piece of paper, and this works whether it be plain but especially patterned, dead centre, and then that will give us a chance of going round the external corner a decent amount before overlapping like we did with the lining paper. So that's all I've done to mark the chimney breast wall. Worked out how the paper is going to sit best, and then put my plumb line down, in this case, to the left of the centre of the paper, so the paper sits dead centre. So hanging the vertical paper, and this is the same whether it be a wooden grain like this, a plain paper, a pattern paper embossed, whatever it may be. If it's a vertical drop, we get our marking out sorted. And as you can see, as previously mentioned, we've got the 3/4 fold here. I'm going to undo the longest fold. The reason for not undoing the whole piece of paper at once is then we have issues with the lower part of the paper sticking to the wall before we're ready to smooth it out. So, take hold of the paper, peel back a good few inches. Don't be tempted just to hold the corners and let it drop, otherwise you may end up with just 2 corners of your paper in each hand and the rest on the floor. So, come down a few inches, then let the paper unravel, okay, ensuring you don't let the paste come in contact with the floor or the wall. Then, as always, we've cut it slightly long. The wall area is 230, so I've cut 240. And again, my right hand is close to the wall. It's touching the wall. I don't need to be doing this, and I'm holding as level as I can. That helps me to line the paper to the plumb line, and then out comes the sweep brush. And I would urge you, when you are doing a vertical drop, just tuck it up into the ceiling. The reason for that is it then just forms an extra edge it's stuck to. Because again, the heavier papers, if you don't stick them to the ceiling, can start to slowly pull away, and as you're working your way down the wall, the paper's following you. So with the heavier papers, just make sure there's a little bit of contact with the ceiling. You'll need to wipe it off anyway, so it's not an issue. So as always, from the centre out to the edges, to ensure we get rid of all of the air bubbles. What I can't use here is the spatula. Because it's textured, it's not going to go between the wooding grains. And also, if it was an embossed paper, it might flatten the pattern. So here, even if the spatula is your preferred option, you'll just have to switch back to the sweep brush. Down we go. And centre outwards. And again, just using my fingernails, just gently to push in. And then, again, when it comes to cutting these, if your preferred option has become the caulking tool and the knife, not with wooding grain paper. The little bits of wood just catch on the knife and the paper will tear, not cut. So we are back to either a pencil line or the back of the scissors just to form that crease. Again, I've got good lighting in here so I can see the crease. If I didn't, I'd just use the pencil line and cut from the other side. You can actually hear, probably, that is not going through, come on. The actual wooding grain, the little chips of wood, just offering resistance to being cut. That is why your knife is not going to be good enough. All right, then lay that up, back up there, smooth it off, and then all we'll do is just repeat the process along the skirting. Just use the back of the blade there to form the crease, and then, where are we? Along we go. Nice and straight. And there you have it. All I need to do now is, with my sponge and clean water, is just wipe the skirting and the ceiling edge to get rid of any remaining paste residue.